Hello, everyone, and welcome to Grand Cruz Astrology. My name is Clayton Cruz. On today's video, we're going to talk about the month of June, starting at the 11th and going all the way to about the 28th. We have Mercury in the sign of Gemini, and that is kind of the main theme of this reading because we just hit the demarcation point where Mercury went into the sign of Gemini, and collectively, we should be feeling some changes from that. So, what does that mean? Well, we've had Mercury in the sign of Taurus, and it went retrograde in Taurus, and it was really, not first it was going retrograde, which in and of itself can be disruptive, but it was also going in opposition to one of the eclipse points. And then last month we had the eclipses. In late April we had eclipses. So really, over the last 7 or so weeks, 8 weeks maybe, we've been in a period of time that has been there's been a lot of rerouting, astrologically speaking, a lot of rerouting, a lot of reconsidering, just touch and go day by day. It's really kind of hard with these aspects to get the clear picture and move forward quickly. It's just there's a lot of things that could have tripped us up. A lot of speed bumps, a lot of things we didn't see coming, or all the information wasn't there, right? And then some things might have just dropped off completely. So kind of a strange time. There was still a lot of enthusiasm about in a lot of ways, and there were some things happening, with those eclipses and with some of the aspects we had. But with Mercury going backward, it made the day to day a little bit chaotic at times, and just not really the traction we might have wanted. But now we have Mercury in the sign of Gemini, a sign that it loves. Why? Well, Mercury rules the sign of Gemini. It also rules the sign of Virgo. And so, what does that mean? It just means that it's comfortable there. It likes that sign. It likes being there. The energy of Mercury can express itself more or less unfettered. The only rub is when it gets an aspect with other planets, in hard aspect. That's really the only time that you're really going to curb Mercury's energy, when it's in the sign of Gemini or Virgo. And in the sign of Gemini, an air sign, mutable air, the energy is really fast, even faster than it would be in the sign of Virgo, because Virgo is Earth. But in Gemini, Mercury is an air sign, mutable air, and so you know the mutable quality of a sign. One of the modalities is mutable. When you're talking about mutable signs, talking about mutable air signs, we're talking about communication, and we're talking about energy flow, communication, short distance travel, movement that is very changeable, just like Gemini, right? It's very making adjustments on the fly and really exploring any and all possibilities, and really making adjustments not only on the fly, just very quickly, and just moving very quickly. And it's just phew, you're today, gone tomorrow, and then the next thing your head's spinning, right? When you're dealing with somebody who's very mercurial embodied in the sign of Gemini. This is very fast talking, very smooth, very social, very on the go, very witty, right? Very charming, right? This is very, very smart, but very fast. So this energy is here. It's going to be here till the 28th. So yeah, let's just welcome that energy in, because collectively it's Mercury being retrograde in the sign of Taurus is a little bit it was we were driving in reverse on hard gravel, right? And now we're kind of on the bullet train. So good stuff. So Mercury will be with us. I just that this is good. I do think for the most part, until we get to later in the month, I do expect for the next week or so, 10 days, we're going to be in a really good space here. There's not a lot that is really going to trip us up. Now, as we get closer to the 24th, things are going to get more interesting, and I do see that on the 18th we're going to have a new moon square to Neptune. So, I mean, once we get to around the 18th or so, let's just call it the 18th. So we got about a week. Once we get to the 18th, um, things are going to get a little, there's going to be some interesting stuff happening that um, may kind of what's the word I want to say? Well, things may still be moving fast, but they may not be as clear, and they may not be as concise. They may not be as dialed in. Okay, because we have that. Let me first talk about the new moon, and then I'll talk about what we have going on with Mars, which is also uh, going to be coming into play here as we get later in the month. So with Mercury, the new moon. I'm sorry, with the new moon going square to with the new moon going square to Neptune in the sign of Pisces. New moon in the sign of Gemini, 26 degrees going square to Pisces, Neptune and Pisces. This can be really call for you know, a need to really tune in a little more to our intuition on things. Because, with this new moon in Gemini here, um, the mind, obviously the mind and our communications and our logic, which is what Mercury rules, and with, it being the new moon being in Gemini and Mercury being in Gemini, logic is going to be on high. It's going to be uh, really in the wheelhouse of this new moon. But with Neptune going square to this aspect of the new moon, it's really asking us to remember there's more than just logic going on. There's more to our perceptual apparatus than just three dimensions. There's more than just what we can calculate, what we see in front of us with our left brain. Mercury's very left brain, the sign of Gemini. It's all very sort of Newtonian physics. It's all linear and it's understanding. It's all very three dimensional. Um, it doesn't always have to mean that it's that way, but when Mercury there in Gemini, it does suggest that when it's going square to Neptune, it's really sort of drawing a differentiation where we may be noticing where we're getting stuck in our mind, and it could bring about the monkey mind, right? We all have experienced, just getting so fast and so quick with our thoughts and just our minds running away from us so we can't even sleep, right? Well, with this square to Neptune, it's really asking us to take a step back, pull back, meditate, really connect with perceptual apparatus that is not so in the head, mental, so left brain, so logical, okay? To really make space uh, for the other parts of ourselves. It's important. Otherwise, the mind will run away with us, and we can get ourselves in a tizzy. Um, Conversely, with this square, we don't want to completely ditch the mind and just, escape totally. I mean, the other temptation with a square to Neptune is just to say screw it and go escape and just, go get high under a rock or, just be drunk, and, a little bit of that, fine, but, like, just be mindful that, escape, it only works for a minute or two, and then you kind of get back in the game. So anyway, that's there with that energy on the 18th, that new moon. For the most part, it's it's going to be pretty good in a lot of ways, I think, with that new moon. Um, but moving on to the 24th. See, as we get further in the month, around the 18th, we may start to notice where Mars is, because on the 24th, Mars is going to be directly square to Uranus there. And so, by the 18th, Mars is going to be Mars is going to be at 16. It's going to be pretty close. Probably going to be feeling that tension, that energy. So, Mars in Leo, just on its face, Mars in Leo is it's has a lot of gusto and a lot of passion, a lot of drive to be seen, to be a leader, to say, "Hey, everybody, this is the way. I am the light. I am the way. Follow me. Let's do it." I mean, Leo is the sign of the sun, and Mars is a sign of passion and physical energy and drive and gusto and act first, think later, right? And so Mars in Leo can be very bold, very ambitious, and very take charge. And it can be have a lot of charm for leadership and a lot of like appeal in that regard. But here we're talking about a square to Uranus. Now Mars Uranus, this is the most explosive combination when they're in hard aspect, and so this is a square combination, which it's not a conjunction, it's not opposition, so it's it's a square. What are squares? Squares as hard aspects are about tension that creates a need or a necessity for a creative solution. So you got Uranus in the sign of Taurus. Taurus has everything to do with our personal values and our valuables, rules money and things like that. So Uranus has been transiting through Taurus for a long time, since 2018, really revolutionizing the way our relationship to values and valuables and stuff and what's important to us, right? It's a fixed earth sign, so there's been a lot of rumblings around that. It really gets into our, sense of what it is that we want, what we feel, what makes us feel comfortable in this world, and what do we need. And that's been going through a lot of change, a lot of upheaval, right? And it's what Uranus does. And so, given that it is in square to Mars here, there can be some tension, around. There can be some tension around, like, wanting to make bold moves, perhaps maybe make some bold decisions on certain things, maybe to really get into our sense of pride about what's right and how we do things and what needs to be done, versus, okay, well, maybe we need to be more flexible, maybe we need to be a little bit more changeable and a little bit less dug in, right? This is a difficult square because these are both fixed signs, right? We got fixed earth and we got fixed fire. So neither of these signs, neither of these positions, neither of these planets want to compromise. They don't really want to give. So this is going to be going on for about a weekend. That weekend of the 24th, 25th. It's going to be a weekend where we may feel called to act, or we may feel well, inspired is the wrong word. We may feel the drive to act, or to make a bold move, or to make some changes, or to put on a production of some kind about something, or make a scene, or make a stand, or do something. Be something really bold, very Martian and Leo, right? But the astrological advice is, if you can, to wait. Let this energy pass. Feel your feelings, but try to express those feelings in something very active, very, that can sort of burn off some of this energy, some of this fire that's coming up, some of this fire on gasoline, right? Um, do something that to kind of release some of it, but be very mindful of what you say, what you do, like what kind of displays you put on, because this is the kind of energy you look back and say, dang, like I really kind of wish I hadn't said, I really lost control there, right? There can be regret if we get carried away by this energy. So just be mindful that this energy is in play for that weekend. It is good to try to maybe do something physical with this energy, while at the same time not doing anything too risky, because you got Mars square Uranus. Accidents can totally happen. This isn't a time to you go try something new and daring and dangerous, right? That you're not quite sure about, and not too, this isn't the time to do anything a little, risky and, just kind of stay off the ledge here. But it is a good time to be active and to, move that energy in a constructive, positive way. Okay, so that's that with that Mars and Uranus there. It's really going to be coming on full force for that weekend. Just be mindful that it's there, and no matter what is happening around you, uh, try to try to pull back and take a deep breath and let things pass. Okay, that's kind of the lesson here, is to refrain from getting too directly involved in anything right away as much as you possibly can and wait. Okay, so lastly, here we have on the 27th, we have Mercury going square to that Neptune point. So, just like I said about that new moon, okay, Mercury is going to be in the area anyway. It's just another dose of what I was talking about before, with really needing to slip back into our intuition a little bit and really call on more than our logical mind to see our way through potential situations that may be before us, right? I mean, we got the new moon on the 18th. The new moon is going to be a little bit more lunar, so it's going to be a little bit more focused on, uh, you know, taking time out for ourselves, self care, really paying attention to our dream space. Great time to dream journal, that kind of thing. Um, and yeah, it's good time to attend to that. I mean, a good way to really use that new moon is to, get very orderly about your health habits, right? And um, taking care of yourself and really, you know, um, nurturing the other parts of you and just getting very logical about that. That's one way to use that energy. However, on the 27th, a little bit different. It's more just in the decision making process and the short distance travel and some of these very fast moving things that we're going to be likely doing for the first you know for the next week or two. Once you get toward that very end of the month, maybe slowing down a little bit and kind of keeping your ear to the ground, or just really focusing on which way is the wind blowing. Just kind of really not getting so uh, procedural about everything, not doing everything by the book, by the manual, but really maybe using your gut a little bit, using a little more intuition, really calling on spirit, calling on guidance that is beyond three dimensional, trans three dimensional, right? This is kind of the space we're going to be in toward the end of the month. It's a square aspect, so we're getting challenged to kind of set our monkey mind aside. It could be that, again, with that energy there at the end of the month, that the mind is just wired and buzzing and just moving way too fast to be of any use. So what do you call on when the mind is getting carried away? Well, you do what you can to, maybe occupy that mind with some kind of activity that isn't like directly involved in things that you need to get done. For example, like, I mean, some people do like crossword puzzles or play chess or like play poker or whatever, just to occupy their mind. And then from doing those kinds of processes, right, that are very mental and getting sort of lost in that, then that's when they download inspiration, right? That's when the inspiration gets downloaded, right? So finding somewhere for the mind, just finding places to occupy the mind so that you can tap in to spirit. Because, I mean, some people do meditation. Meditation is great if you're good at it and you understand how to transcend the mind, great. But for a lot of us, we kind of need to occupy the mind so that we can call in those downloads. That's going to be in play really from the 18th onward, but especially once you get toward the very end of the month, that'll be even more in play there. So that's kind of a snapshot of astrologically for the month that we have coming up. I like it for the most part. You know, it really looks like with this month things are just going to be moving really fast, and we we may just be getting going too far too fast, and it could just get to the point where it's so all over the place and just just that at the end of the month we're just like, okay, this isn't really serving me anymore. We need to kind of you know we need to kind of put this mind down for a little bit before it runs us into the ground, right? So anyway, that's what we got for the month. I hope this was helpful, and I'll see you in the next video.